Welcome back, my fellow game developer enthusiasts. In our last video, we learned how to create linear gradients. Now this is a follow-up video in which we will learn how to create gradients with three colors. First, take a look at these buttons. You might find these buttons familiar. They have a three-color gradient. The top and bottom are different from the center. Now these buttons are from a very popular mobile game. You have probably played it. Leave a comment if you can guess which one it is. I will be impressed. So in this tutorial, we will learn how to build a three-color gradient. Let me show you the final look of what we are building so you don't waste time watching something you don't want to learn. So these are our materials that we are building. You can see that they have three colors: green, white and red. And for each of these gradients, they have a different proportion. The first one is just equally divided. For the second one, only the top 5% and the bottom 5% are shaded. And for the third one, we used a step function to create the flag of Italy. Now before we jump into material shading, I want to explain what we are doing. So as you know, this is our UV map. For our three color gradient, we are going to use two Lerp nodes. The first Lerp, let's call it Lerp AB, will shade the gradient for the top 50%. Let me demonstrate it to you. So this is going to be our three color gradient. We have a Lerp AB node for which we will shade the top 50%, that goes 0 to 1 over here, and it remains 1 constantly throughout. For our second Lerp node, it starts from the midpoint and becomes 1 in the end. So Lerp AB is top 50% gradient and Lerp BC is bottom 50% gradient. For top 50%, we divide the value by 0.5 because remember 0.5 is our midpoint and 0.5 divided by 0.5 is 1. And for the bottom 50%, we subtract 0.5. So 0.5 becomes 0. Perfect. And then we divide the value by 0.5. So this becomes 0 to 1. Let's head back to our Unreal editor. I'm using the same project from our last video, but we will create a new material for this. So from our content drawer, let's create a new material in our materials folder. And we can name this m_ui_3 gradient. Perfect. Now inside this file, we'll quickly switch the material domain from surface to user interface. Now let's hold V on our keyboard and left click 3 times for 3 colors. Color 1, color 2, color 3. You can press F2 to rename it. We will call this color A. We will call the second one color B. For the third one, we will call color C. Let's make a text coord node. Along with this, let's create the mask. So just a reminder, we are doing the vertical gradient for 3 colors. So for this value, for the vertical gradient, we want to use the G value, which is going to be our V value. So you can uncheck R and connect these two. Let's set colors, green shade. Let's go for white. Let's go for red. Let's create our first Lerp node. We will connect our color A and color B to it. For the alpha value in our Lerp AB, we are going to connect our V value. But before that, we are going to divide it by 0.5 and then we are going to clamp it from 0 to 1. Awesome. Now we want one more Lerp node for our color B and C. We can use the same text coord, but it will look really messy. So I'm just going to duplicate this. We are going to call another Lerp node. We will connect our color B and color C. Now remember, we will first subtract 0.5 and then we are going to divide it by 0.5. We will clamp it from 0 to 1 and this will be our alpha value. Now we have both our Lerp nodes and all that is remaining is to combine them. Well, we can't really combine these two, but we can conditionally switch them. For this purpose, we have the if node. Now we have to pass our V value to A that goes from 0 to 1. We can do this by getting the pin from here, or we will just copy over this text code and mask nodes. So it's much neater. For our b value, we are going to provide a variable which will be compared with our a value. So we want the midpoint because we have two lerp functions. Midpoint is at 0.5, so we will provide 0.5. For a is greater than b, we want to attach our lerp bc node. For a is less than b, we want to attach the lerp ab node. For a is equal to b, we can leave it as it is, but just to be consistent, we will attach our midpoint. The output of this node is now going to be attached to our final color pin. Let's take a look and pray for the best. And perfect. Here is our gradient. We have our 3-color gradient. Now let's create another material with only the top 5% and the bottom 10% shaded. So the remaining 90% is going to remain consistently one solid color. In our linear gradients video, we did it for the top 10% and bottom 10%. The logic is going to be the same, but the math is now different. So let's pull up our content drawer. We will duplicate this file, 5%. Now all we have to do is modify some values over here. For the alpha value in lerp AB, instead of dividing it by 0.5, which gives us the top 50%, we will divide it by 0.05, and this will give us the 5%. See, it works. For our lerp BC, we don't want to subtract 0.5, we'll subtract 0.95, and then we will divide it by 0.05. Let's see, and perfect. So we can see that we have achieved our 3-color gradient. If we want equal distribution of colors, you know what, let's create a new file for that. Let's apply this, let's save this, let's duplicate our file again, 3 gradient, let's call it equal step. Now over here we are going to use our step function instead of divide. So let's use the step function. This is not our pin. Our pin goes to the x value and 0.5. It's not going to be 0.5. See, now the green color is on the top 50% and the white color is in the bottom one, which is not appearing because we are using our if node. So for this we'll use 0.33. Okay, perfect. And for our second lerp, we will remove the subtract and divide node. We will call the step function again, detach from the y pin because we want it on the x pin. This is not going to be 0.33. That will just make this will make the white color disappear. Oh, it's still there, but yeah, we don't want this. We want 0.67. Let's go. Perfect. It almost looks like Italy's flag. You know what? Let's make the Italy flag. So in our if node, we just have to change our mask from G to R. And even over here, we will change from G to R. Now what is happening over here? Over here, we also want to change the mask in our if node, R. And there we go. We have a perfect Italy flag. So let's take a final look again. I'm going to run this project in the viewport. And you can see how this material looks when it's shaded to our cubes. Take a look at that. I have also created 3 buttons to showcase these materials. Now this is the actual use case of these materials because remember their material domain is user interface, not surface. So in our next video, we are going to do square gradients and radial gradients. That's going to be a fun one. Subscribe if you learned something new. Do leave a comment if you have doubts and like this video if you enjoy my style of teaching. Go make something cool now.